Welcome back to another episode of R&R with RTZ. If you're watching on YouTube, welcome to our new podcast setup with your host, Ariba Azad,
Rakib Tizamon,
and Rahib Tizamon. Today, the T stands for thesaurus, because we're about to learn how to read. On today's podcast, we have the owner of Kahini Books, Ryanna Quazi, and we're going to talk about everything about the business, how it began, how it's going, and why we all should learn how to read. Let's get into it. All right. Now, before we begin, if you're watching this, like Ariba said in the beginning, we do have a whole new setup in the basement. Can we get some cheers for that, please? Thank you. I worked hard on it.
Yeah, that's enough cheers. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, he worked really hard on this whole setup. I'm really proud of him. I, for once, cannot take any credit for this because I did not help at all. I wanted to see if he could do it, on his own. Test him out.
Yeah, she's a credit thief, so.
I'm not, but yeah, welcome. It's really cool. It's awesome.
how do you really feel about it?
I really like it. But you know what I wish we could change is something that should have changed from the beginning of RTZ production ever being created is yellow should be purple. So like if you're looking at the whole thing, it should be red and purple.
Red and purple together?
Yeah, because one, that's our favorite colors together. And two, it's cute, it's pretty, it's fun. But anyways, we're not here to talk about your bad color choices. We're here to talk about how to learn to read.
All right. So Ryanna, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, so I'm Ryanna Quazi. I'm the owner of Kahini Books. So we are a South Asian-focused independent bookstore. We just function for right now in a pop-up format and online, and we focus on books by South Asian authors. Other than that, I have a day job in public health, work on the comm side, and then I also do some freelance writing. Yeah, that's my life. So
busy
very
life.
Nice. Yeah, sounds
busy
very
life.
busy.
Very busy life. And I'm getting married on top of it. So there you go.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Yes, congratulations.
Thank
That
you.
is exciting.
Her fiance is in the studio with us.
You want to say
Jason,
hi?
you want to give a
Hi,
shout out?
Jason.
Say
Yell as loud as you
hey.
can. There we go.
There you go. Hopefully you can hear that.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys were able to hear that, but maybe I'll put subtitles in and clip this part.
One day we'll have live audience.
Yeah,
That'd be
live
dope.
audience. Oh God.
Oh my God. All the mess ups.
So let's talk about Kahini Books. How would you describe the store? Is it similar to a library's, Barnes and Nobles? What do you think?
I think it's just like any other independent bookstore that exists in the DMV. I think I was really inspired by, I'm originally from Texas and I moved to DC, and one of the things that I love about DC is the amount of bookstores that we have. I really love like Politics and Prose and Kramer's and how they've kind of become cultural institutions within themselves. They're not just about books. It's like there's just so many things that happens and the events that happen. So I think the main thing was that I didn't really see South Asian books. I knew just as an avid reader that they were becoming more and more present in the literary space, but I didn't see them being represented as much, whether it's Barnes and Noble, whether it's any independent bookstore. I guess Amazon tended to be the best place, but I mean, I have my mixed opinions about Amazon. I'm always going to support an independent bookstore over Amazon at the end of the day. So I didn't really see anything like that. And I felt like the DM or this area in general is a place where something like that would actually really work, because the thing with independent bookstores is like, I think to survive in this market, you really got to be niche and you really got to be providing something that doesn't exist.
Right.
So it was kind of a combination of all of that. And I just decided like, let's start it. But obviously I don't have the funds to have a physical store yet. So pop-ups really have become a big thing with just small businesses, especially during the pandemic, because it's just impossible to afford rent for a lot of businesses in this area.
Yeah.
So just being able to but still being able to get your audience in person and meet your customers in person. So doing pop-ups has been kind of my main source of income. And then I also have an online store as well.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
that's awesome. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Just curious, do you have a book in your store called Henna Wars?
Okay, so I don't have it currently, but
you know
Thuyin-
what book I'm talking about,
I
right?
know what you're talking about, and Thuyin was just telling me about this.
Yes.
That it's your relative.
Yes,
that's
yeah.
written in it.
Yeah,
And
his
yes.
brother's new wife, her cousin is
Yes.
from, I think,
Ireland. Or
Ireland.
something?
Yes,
Yes.
she's
yes.
the writer of that book,
Yes.
and one of his cousins actually read that book, and I thought it was so cool. And
Yes.
and she is a
fan meet,
Yes.
kind of celebrity
Oh my
meet.
gosh.
Yeah, it
at
was
the
really
wedding.
cute.
It was
No
like,
way.
it
No
was
way.
crazy.
Yeah.
I definitely know about that book for sure. But yeah, and that's one of the things that I love is especially like I mean, obviously in general South Asian authors, but being Bangladeshi to see that representation
Absolutely,
kind of
yeah.
just growing and also I think it's happening in all realms of art, but especially just for me just because I'm a book person, like
Of
I
course,
love
yeah.
seeing it within books. So yeah, it's really exciting to see like people like Adiba and stuff like that.
yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. So you mentioned pop-ups. Where have you done these pop-ups, and where do you think you want to do them next?
Yeah, so I typically do them at like large festivals. So it usually tends to be like multicultural festivals in the DMV area. They're mainly in like Virginia, I would say. So
Oh, nice.
the main one that I do is I do the Asian Festival on Main, which is in Fairfax.
Oh, yeah,
so
yeah,
that's it's like been one of my most successful events, and it's a great event to
Yeah,
begin with. Actually, Jason was the one who took me there first. The first year they did it, and it's like continued to grow as time goes on. And then just a couple of other. There's one in Alexandria that's called Around the World. We just did that recently, so I think that's where my audience tends to be just a very diverse group of people. Like it's not just one person that tends to like look at my stuff and
That's good.
tends to buy. So yeah.
That's good. So I can tell that, I mean, you seem to say that there's a lot of diverse audience members or customers at least. So it's not just South Asian people buying South Asian books, but also
Yeah.
a lot of different people.
I mean, if I'm totally honest with you, I think majority of my customers are not South Asian. I
Oh,
think
wow.
That's great to
yeah,
hear.
it's like all
That's
other
shocking.
kinds of people. Yeah, and I have theories on why that is, but like, I mean, I think that's a whole other conversation about just South Asian, like our generation and, you know, being business owners. And I think the competition sometimes that
Yeah,
exists.
it could just be like, I don't want to
Yes,
support
I don't, yes,
people that look like me because it
exactly.
should be me on top.
Exactly. I think there's a lot of, it's a whole other, it's like,
Yeah.
it's a whole other thing.
It's a
There's,
whole
like,
another
there's
story,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
I see that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't think about that.
I tell Rahib all the time.
Yeah.
I feel like us girls see it more than the guys do.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
really see that with like video and stuff. Interesting. Or maybe I do. Maybe there is, but I just don't see it myself.
Yeah, I'm
like,
sure
I see a
there
bunch of brown people also doing video and photo and stuff.
Yeah.
But I feel like I want to support them as much, but I also want to make money myself.
Well, you're the better side of these brown peoples. Then
I guess
you're the one who wants to support the other brown
Yes.
people you see. Like, I mean, clearly, you want to support other creatives that are brown. That's the whole point of some of our podcasts that we've done. But not everyone has that mentality, and so I can understand why most of your customers are not brown.
Yeah, and it's like not even necessarily just like I've met a lot of South Asian like creatives. Like I've met a lot of people who do like you know, they sell art or they sell, I don't know, makeup or jewelry and stuff like that. And I hear like the similar comments from people that like our own community doesn't support our own community
Yes,
sometimes.
100%. Yeah.
So I hope that like
Well, it's a mixture of jealousy, but it's also a mixture of trauma. Like, oh, I want to be
Trauma.
pushed away from the culture as much as
Yes.
possible. It could also be like being cheap.
cheap.
You know,
yes,
like you see
yes,
brown people,
for
you're like,
sure.
give me a discount.
That's part of the
give it for
culture.
me free."
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
Right.
I can get this at Walmart for
Yeah, that's
Yes.
mentality. I can get this
Oh.
cheaper at Amazon. I
Yeah,
can get
cheaper on
that.
Amazon. And I get it, but it's like whatever it is, whether it's books, whether it's something that you're creating like art. I mean, you can't get that at Amazon or Walmart. You're not gonna get
Yeah.
the I think
The
and
authenticity.
also one of the things that I really learned as like a business owner that's really important is the consultation aspect. So being like a subject matter expert in whatever you're doing. So for me, like it's important for me to keep up with like what is being published in, you know, the literary world and what South Asian books are coming out, and really being able to like tell people like, hey, like, you know, this is what I would recommend for you if you like, I don't know, if you like romances, like here's this book. If you like sci-fi, here's this book. So it's really important in general, but I think especially for me to know what I'm talking about, because oftentimes that's going to be the difference between people going to Amazon or buying from you because they're like, oh, I like you. You're really great. You provide a lot of great information to me. You can give me these like personalized recommendations. I'm going to support you. So I think that's just one thing that I've seen. And also just with other businesses too. It's like when I go to a small business, if that person can really help me, like walk me through the process, like just an example, comes back to everything's about the wedding this year, literally, but literally,
we get that.
everything's about that. And then, so I was buying my jewelry for my wedding, right? And I'm clueless when it comes to South Asian jewelry. I don't really know anything about it. I just don't really wear it that much. And the person that I went with, she's a small business owner here in Northern Virginia. And she literally held my hand through the entire process and told me like, okay, this is what might look good. This is what is really good quality. This will fit within your budget. So I really like learned a lot from her as to like, oh my gosh, like, you know, you really need to sometimes like walk your customers through that process. And that's how you get people to buy from you and also return customers. That's how you build those relationships.
Building those relationships and the connections.
Yeah, speaking on weddings, like I think a lot of brides, with all due respect, are pretty clueless when it comes to it. They're not like raised to know exactly what to do,
It's
what
very
vendors.
true.
So like vendors who
Especially
can
here.
explain step by step their process of whether it's table decorations, jewelry, video, photo. Those are the ones that get the best customer
100%.
It's worth the money.
I agree. And and I think anybody who has a small business, they should just learn to do that. Learn your craft like from the from top to bottom.
Yeah.
And that's
absolutely.
all you'll
People look to businesses, especially small businesses, for expertise.
Yeah.
Because that's what you would expect from from Walmart, from Amazon, from Apple. So if you get that at the small business level, but also personal, then that's like everything you want.
That's the difference. That's the difference between Amazon, Walmart versus a small business is you're getting that personal touch. So I try my best to really provide that as much as I can. And, even just, like one of the really unexpected things that I have found is that, yes, I have faced a lot of that kind of competition or whatever you want to call it within the South Asian. But I've also found a lot of South Asian business owners, especially women, that are like, I think they're tired of this BS and they want to collaborate and they want to support each other. So I've been able to make really great connections with like certain South Asian organizations. So like, a lot of organizations, especially during the pandemic, have created like virtual book clubs because it's so easy now to like just create like a virtual book club. So I've been able to create partnerships with like the South Asian Bar Association, which is like their association for lawyers, and like I'm trying to think who else was it. Like recently I connected with the South Asian Domestic Violence Organization, and like we're like talking about like, how can I promote like their book club, and then like they encourage their people to buy from me. So like just creating like these partnerships with organizations has been really cool. I did not expect this to come out of this at all, but that's been a really cool part.
Yeah. So how do you actually get into like stock your store with books? Do you reach out to authors and stuff? Yeah.
So that's another really cool thing that once again did not expect, but I found a lot of people in the DMV that are South Asian, and especially children's books authors. A lot of people are writing kids books, especially because they want that representation in like kids books, so kids can see like South Asian characters from a young age. But they don't have like the platform, or they're self-published, or they're like from a really small press. Like they're not like, published by HarperCollins or whatever, like the big four.
Have to send me some of those because I would love to have them in the classroom.
Because you're a teacher.
Yeah.
So and the funny thing is like I get teachers, that's a side note, but like I get teachers who buy from me all the time, and they're my absolute favorite customers because they're so passionate and excited, and they're just like, oh my God, I'm going to read this to my class like on Monday, and it's so
I
awesome.
love that. That's
I love
fun.
it. But going back to that, so I primarily, honestly, have ended up working with like these independent authors, and oftentimes what happens is I buy from them directly, but I'll do like a wholesale order, so I'll buy like 30, 40 copies or whatever, and they sell it to me at a discount, and then I'm able to sell like at the retail price. But with that, I'm giving them exposure, I'm giving them marketing. As of right now, I haven't been able to do author events just because just starting, and then like I said, with the wedding happening and stuff like that. Right. But that's one of the things I want to do in the future is like be able to like do author events. Just giving them that platform. has been really cool. So
Pretty
I'm gonna
cool.
think, how many? Probably at least maybe 10 authors or so, probably that are like independent, probably within the last year that I've worked with them.
Nice.
So yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you go about like even finding these people? Like, do you like
Yeah.
put up a Facebook event page or like, I don't know,
On-
Indeed?
Wanted.
Yeah.
Like,
Instagram
wanted
story, yeah.
book
Help
writer,
wanted.
brown book writer on Indeed.com.
Honestly, Instagram
Oh.
has
Oh.
been the biggest place. I think just
That
the
makes sense.
algorithm. I think once you create like a page, you just start getting
Oh, that's right. Because yeah, you
like
do have an Insta.
recommendations and stuff like that. And then I have a lot of people at this point who will directly reach out to me on Instagram, like,
Oh,
hey, I'm
nice.
an author. Can I get my book in your store? Like, I need this marketing.
That's cool.
Obviously, I guess with my fiance being Mr. DC Wallace, that I have to admit that is a big perk. People do go through him sometimes and are like, "Hi, like can you talk to your fiance? Can I get my book in her store?" So that's definitely for sure. That's a big perk. I wanna admit that for sure. And I guess since I'm talking about it, I in general. So Jason helps me with marketing. So he's my marketing consultant, and I definitely have to say that like, the rate that I have grown within the past, it's been about a year and a half since the business started. I definitely would not have grown as fast as I did if I didn't have him helping me. So
Aw.
big like kudos to Jason, honestly.
All right,
But-
Jason, I'm hiring you.
Shout
yeah,
out
we need
RTZ.
RTZ
Yes.
up on the
Will you
board.
get on that South Asian podcast?
Oh my gosh, that's who you
thing that
need to
shared
hire.
me?
Yeah. He's awesome. He's
A
awesome
marketing
in
manager.
terms of marketing. But so Instagram, like I said, through these they see or Jason. I'm trying to think. Oftentimes, like when I'm at events, people who are like, I feel like in DMV we're all multi-hyphenates, right? We do like everything. Like I just
Yeah.
met like a teacher recently who's also a children's book author who also owns a jewelry business. So
Oh,
she's just
wow.
doing everything literally. And she's like, yeah, I wrote this children's book about I can't remember what it was about, but it was something that was really cool. And she was like, I'd love to work with you. And, so events are a really great place. So yeah,
Okay.
I get inquiries from people that I just never would expect, which just makes me think that like, oh, we really did need this. Like, really did need this. Like, I had a lot of doubts in the beginning because even people were telling me like, oh, why are you doing this? Like, bookstores are dead. Amazon is everything. But like, some of these, there's still a need for it. There's still a need for it. And that
Plus,
proves
this
that.
is like your passion project.
Yes.
Which
yes.
is there's always a reason.
There's always
to
a
have
reason.
that.
There's
Reason is
always
I
a
like
reason.
it.
Yeah,
That's all I need.
honestly.
That's all you
Yes.
need.
It's like, yeah,
100%.
I like it. And then I've learned that like there are people that like I love it whenever, like I said, as teachers will come to me and be like, oh my gosh, I'm so grateful you're doing this. The authors will come to me and be like, like I'm self-published. They don't have the backing, like I said, that like
Right.
big publishers do. So just giving them that platform, that's been really satisfying for me.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I also feel like for you, you seem like you're really good at like talking to people. You get along with people, and just having that like personality and that ability to socialize so easily, I think does help you get all these authors to come in.
Yeah.
Plus Jason's marketing, of course.
Yes, of course. It's funny because I always have this line. I'm an introverted. I'm an extroverted introvert. That's the line that I say. So I'm a little quiet, and I'm very like choosy about my energy and my time and my people. But I
course.
definitely
But when you find your people,
yes,
you get out, you're showing.
and I can have a conversation with basically anybody, like
Yeah.
So and I think also just that's definitely really important. Is that like even if you're not. Like, say if you're like a real introvert, like if you're gonna be a business owner, you really gotta get good at talking to people, even if you don't want to, because that's just how it works. Like that's how you're gonna get customers.
100%.
That's how you get clients.
As a
So-
customer myself for everything,
Yes.
if the person is not nice or anything or can't even talk to me, I'm like, yeah, okay, bye.
Yeah.
Peace out.
Yeah. I
The
agree.
people at farmers markets that talk to me and keep a conversation up, I'm usually the one that buys stuff from them.
Oh yeah, totally. Like whenever I go to, before I started this, like whenever I would go to like a market or something like that, sometimes it was just like, oh, I really like you as a person,
So I want to buy your stuff.
I want to support you.
Yep.
Even if the product is bad.
Even if the product is not that
Okay,
great.
he's looking at me because I know you were like, why is he looking at me, right?
What
Okay.
did you buy?
I bought this. There was this cute little girl with her mommy, and she made all these like cute stuff. Now there was a cute coaster because I was looking for coasters. There was a cute coaster that was lopsided, but it was like purple and has heart on it. And
Not
it
even
was,
a flat coaster.
it was-
One thing the coaster has to be is flat. It's like lopsided,
sliding off.
curved.
she was so cute, and she was telling me about how she made all of these, and her mom was like, "Yeah, she works so hard," and I was like, "Oh," and then she's like, "Yeah, She said, my teacher inspired me to keep trying. And I was like, oh my God, I'm a
Yeah.
teacher. I'll buy your shit. Like,
The
I
worst
got
part
them.
is that a few weeks prior, I had gone to a convention and I bought a coaster as well. And then I came home and she looked at it and she's like, oh my God, you need to pay more attention when you buy stuff. Look at this. It's lopsided at this end. It's
Okay,
like
wait,
2
here's the
degrees less
Listen,
thick
here's
than
the difference.
side.
Here's the
Pro
difference.
I was like, you're
Wait, pause. Here's the difference, though. He was not paying attention. I knew what I was buying. I did it on purpose.
I too wanted to support the local artist and business owner.
Yeah. But you did not notice that was like, even he was like, oh man, it's lopsided. And I'm over here like, well, listen, I know mine is lopsided, but I also know this little girl's going to go back and be like, Mommy, I've sold something.
I agree.
So,
Yeah, I totally agree with that. He gets mad at me too. He's like, you just go to these markets and you just want to support all of them. I'm like, is that a bad thing? I don't think it's a bad
Plus,
thing.
if I'm getting something out of it, like, it's fine. I love farmers
agree.
markets for that reason.
I agree.
So let's talk about the work-life balance. You've mentioned that you're working a full-time job, you're doing the business,
And a wedding.
and you're getting married this year.
Yeah.
How are you doing balancing all those things?
Yeah.
And then I'm afraid I write freelance.
And you write
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
So, in terms of balancing, I think it's a process. I think we talk about like work-life balance as this thing that we're like gonna like achieve and it's just gonna happen like automatically
Yeah,
and it's
a
always be
switch.
that. No, I think it's something that just changes all the time. I think since we got engaged and since we started planning our wedding, like that has really shifted how we sorry, I shouldn't say we, it's me specifically, because Jason will keep doing whatever he wants to do. He has an insane amount of energy, if I'm honest with you. I'm a little bit more, I don't have as much energy. I get exhausted. I think with me, I have had to really tell myself, especially in terms of the business and in terms of my day job, and we're paying for a wedding and we're paying for it ourselves. I've had to tell myself, okay, what makes me the most amount of money? Unfortunately, it's my day job, even if I don't like it as much. And then with my business, it does bring me a little bit of extra income, but it's not, enough to sustain myself or enough to pay for a whole wedding. So I've had to really think about, okay, my day job needs to be my focus so that we can pay for this wedding. But with my business, I don't want to completely give up on it. I want to still do it because I enjoy doing it. And it does bring me a little bit of extra income. So I needed to think about, really get down to the numbers and where am I really making my profit? Like what events are working, what platforms are working. And if it's not working, not doing it this year, not taking the risk. So I've been really picky. I like normally like last year, I was really active. I was doing a lot with my business. I was doing a lot of events, like almost every weekend. And this year I'm just like, I don't have the capacity. I can't do it. Wedding planning is very stressful. And so I've had to really just pick and choose which events I'm doing and, really, I think maybe I've done like a total of 4 events this year, honestly speaking. Even that's been hard, honestly. So it's a process. And I think it just, I come down to like, what's my energy level? And do I have the capacity to do it? What's the ROI on it? And if it's worth it, I'll do it. If it's not, it's
What's
not.
ROI?
Return on investment, I would say. And I think also just this is another topic that I talk about with my entrepreneur people a lot is I'm already picky about who I'm friends with. But then after I became an entrepreneur, I had to really kind of be like, okay, I really need to be friends with people that are going to understand that like my life is insanely busy. And if I can't talk to you all the time, if I can't hang out with you all the time, please don't be offended by it. Actually, it's honestly my personality already. I'm not
also
really
adult
somebody.
life.
It's adult life, but you'd be surprised. There are people that,
Girl, I know.
at this age, they're mad that I can't hang out with them all the time or whatever. And I'm like, I don't have time. I can't deal with this. Like, I have too much going on in my life. So I really had to, like, really just think about, like, who's in my circle and, like,
Get to mow the lawn.
who's in my circle. And
Mow the lawn.
it's so true.
Yeah.
Have you ever mowed the lawn?
Yeah, I mow the lawn like every few months. I get rid of some people.
You were about to say
Every
years.
few months, I get rid of some people.
That's been my life probably.
jeez.
It's since like probably the last couple of years. I agree, and it's just increased since I became an entrepreneur.
Well,
So,
it's good. It's good that you know when to like kind of pause or take a break from things and not do as many events. Like for instance, the whole wedding's coming up, so
Yeah,
you're not doing as many events, which is good for like not just your physical health, but your mental health, emotional health, like. Even just like you need some time, like you and Jason, just alone, like not worrying about your business or friends or anything like that.
Yep, for sure.
It's good to take breaks.
Yeah, I think that all combined helps me, and I think the one thing I'll say though is it's different for every person because like with Jason, for example, he can keep going. He'll keep going. He's doing everything. Like he still does all his events and whatnot, and so everybody has their different energy levels. So I think you have to figure out what works for you.
That's true. Yeah.
Today's sponsor is by
BetterHelp.
Better help.
No, I listen to a podcast by Stephanie Sue. She's like a true crime podcaster.
Yeah.
And she does like BetterHelp. What's the food one?
HelloFresh.
HelloFresh, yes. HelloFresh and all these other ones. So every time I hear BetterHelp, yeah. So we should get sponsored by someone.
I think they seem to reach out to a lot of podcasts. I think I see so many podcasts who are sponsored by them.
podcasts,
Yeah.
YouTubers, all those.
BetterHelp and HelloFresh. They're very.
Those two.
Those two are big.
Those two,
Yeah.
I hear.
See, that's the thing. I would never actually use HelloFresh's things because I like cooking myself.
I tried it when I first moved to DC, and it's not worth it.
It's not, right? Especially
it's
like if you
not.
do cook different things and you like to cook, you don't need someone else to tell you what to do and what ingredients to use.
Well, that's the thing about HelloFresh is that
It's for
you're
people
not
who
that
don't. Yes,
person,
exactly. Yeah.
they
Why
box
didn't you
a
like it?
tomato.
You said you tried it.
I think it's like the price wise, it's just not worth it because like I don't know. Also, I love eating, and I always end up eating
I
more.
feel that. I feel
I
that.
end up
So it's not
eating
enough.
more. It's not enough.
Yeah,
the portion size is too small.
Portions are small, and like also it's just from what I've seen and heard from other people, it's just plain. Like it's just American food.
It's healthy
like,
eating for like a certain demographic. of people.
Yeah.
There's a period of
we can
life
say it.
where
It's for white people.
I-
That's okay. That's not anti-Semitic. That's just general knowledge. HelloFresh was made for white Americans.
There's a period of life where I ate lean cuisine, like
Oh
those
my
dollar
God.
meals from the grocery stores.
Yep.
They were never enough.
That's
I
also
see
for white
why it's
people.
lean cuisine because it's always leaves you hungry for more. One meal will not satisfy you.
And
can't
you buy
do
more.
it.
It's a
You have to
great business
buy
model.
more. Yeah.
I think
It's
like
terrible.
you would. I think you would spend the same amount of money on groceries. Honestly,
Exactly. That's what I was thinking too. And you would have more fun because you can make more different things and
If you have
know.
fun cooking.
If
Oh, see, I
If you're
enjoy
into that
cooking. I
stuff,
love
yeah.
If you're
cooking.
into that
I
weird
personally,
shit.
after our kitchen's remodel, I want to do like my own little cooking show on TikTok or something. How fun would that be?
That's good.
Yeah.
I mean, when I did HelloFresh for like a trial period, I picked certain cuisines that I wanted shipped. So I did like Asian, Italian, like some other stuff.
Was it like Trader Joe Italian, Trader Joe Asian? Because that's a different type of taste than actual Asian food.
I mean, it was okay. Like,
Yeah,
it's
that's
not,
what
it's
I
not
mean,
like
yeah.
I'm getting the greatest
Yeah.
Italian dish ever, but like I had some decent like chicken parm and stuff like that from.
And
HelloFresh.
I've heard you can take their recipes and then get your own ingredients and
Yeah, yeah.
spice it up and make it better.
Because they send you like
The
these,
cards.
The cards, yeah.
Yeah.
So I still have the cards.
I
Yeah.
held onto the cards too.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh,
I held
yeah.
onto the
That's
cards.
smart.
Yeah.
It's a free
Yeah.
recipe.
Yeah.
Well, not free, but it's a recipe.
I mean,
So
you
I,
can
like,
also find them online
got-
too
like
for free.
it's got like punch outs. So if you like
Yeah.
make a binder with all these recipes, so
Yeah.
like
Yep.
they thought ahead.
I did
so.
that.
I hate looking at recipes online because it's always like a whole article and it'll be like,
Yes.
this is how I discovered the recipe.
Yes, I do hate
I was
that.
Halfway
traveling
down.
the Himalayas,
Yeah.
scrolling through half just
Yeah,
to find like a
for-
bullet point.
For the
list.
longest time during COVID, I would take those recipes with all those articles, find the actual recipe and write them down nicely, and then just look at that. And it was so much easier to look at my paper than online.
I agree.
But speaking of the other thing, BetterHelp I think is great because it's online therapy. Like,
Yeah.
and it's
We're not
actually
sponsored.
really
Are
You
you
don't
getting
talk about
paid?
it. We're not
Are
sponsored.
you getting paid
Not
for
until
this?
they pay us.
No, I
Don't
know.
say anything.
Okay. And thank you, BetterHelp and HelloFresh for not sponsoring this podcast. And let's get back to it.
We're just roasting HelloFresh.
If we're trying to get sponsors, you don't roast them.
I don't think HelloFresh is gonna want to sponsor this after this.
Well, but I would love BetterHelp to sponsor us because I do want to. I did try to start on
That doesn't mean
BetterHelp?
they'll
I
give you
use
it for
BetterHelp.
free.
I was going
I
to.
use it.
I was going
so-
to, and then we started paying for our kitchen remodeling,
Yeah.
and I was like, yeah, I can't afford this right now. So
I got the app and I did the questionnaires, but
I
then
did the
thought
questionnaire.
The last thing was like the paying part. I was like, well,
yeah, and
let me
you
check
know
other
you can do
places
you
first.
can do financial aid too, and it lowers
Yeah.
it, but it's still not worth it.
Yeah,
I think it. Well, I do think it's worth it, but
Oh,
I
it is
still
worth it, yes,
want to
yes.
go and do like a in-person consultation just to be like, if I'm paying more for in-person, like, what are the benefits? You know what I mean?
my
So-
therapy comes in the form of Kaiser Permanente's depression quiz.
Screener.
That is literally, do you have depression? Yes or no?
Are you gonna kill
And
yourself?
that's it. Yes or no? And I don't know what happens if you press yes. Like type in the paragraph how you're feeling, and then come
The
in. for
paragraph
consultation.
makes you more depressed. Writing this paragraph has caused more depression than I have in my entire 20 years of life, or something like that.
That's so
But it's
funny.
Kaiser. They do take care of you.
Yeah, I love Kaiser.
I like Kaiser. All my life, like my parents would be like, "Oh, Kaiser's the worst. You can only go to their stores." I'm like, how's that a problem? They have so many.
Yeah.
around. And everything's in the building.
And I understand
mostly.
it can be a problem for like severe situations, but like we're young and healthy and Kaiser's great. And I heard that their OBGYN and whole like the maternity area, like the pregnancy situation is really, really good from what I've heard. So
Yeah, no, I use
Sponsored by
BetterHelp and I
Kaiser.
like
The real sponsor.
Yes, the
yeah, real sponsor.
No, I use BetterHelp and I think it's really convenient, at least for me, because like you can like call your therapist, you can like
Text them.
text them, video chat.
See, I want to do the
So it's
texting.
really, it's really, I don't know, I've found it to be really, really helpful. Also just like, well, this is a whole tangent, but like basically you just need to find a therapist, I think, that also like understands your experiences, comes from a
Right.
similar
Yes,
background.
yeah.
And BetterHelp was really great at that. Like they'll match you with
yeah,
somebody.
And you don't have to pay extra to switch. You can
Yes.
get like every day you could pick a different
Yep.
therapist if you're like, nope, this person doesn't get me.
Yep.
Yeah, I've heard similar things about, especially with people with
Yes.
South Asian backgrounds, that they need someone with a similar background as a therapist.
So really get it.
I like one of my friends was like, yeah, I told my therapist everything, and they're not a South Asian, and I told them about problems with parents growing up and stuff, and they were like, have you considered just talking to your parents? And they're like, there's just too much of a disconnect here.
Have you considered
Ooh.
dying?
No, they. I love the whole. What is it like? Oh, but you're an adult. I'm like, does that matter?
Yeah, you're an adult. Have you considered
if I'm
just
an
doing what
adult.
you want? Like,
It doesn't. Have you been through our trauma?
Was
Like
this you?
literally.
what?
Did you talk to someone and say you should talk to your parents?
No, you tell me to do that. You're like, just talk to your mom.
Well,
I'm like,
okay,
no,
first of
I'm
all,
not.
yes,
I
I do
know
think
my mom.
I think there's a difference between I have trauma from my parents even after talking to them versus I have trauma from my parents and I've never talked to them. Yes, you should talk to your parents. I talked to my mom. I never talked to her as a kid, but I finally talked to her and I told her so many things and I told her like all the extreme versions of everything that happened and she like really understood. But if I never talked to her, she would never
that's
understand.
a key word right there, though. Like, your mom is understanding.
Well, but that's because I tried.
Oh, I'm sure us moms have tried too.
He hasn't.
The Zaman rant starts now, Ryanna.
The Zaman. I get enough of the Zaman rant from the two
Oh,
Zamans,
gosh.
literally.
I can go on. I can give you the side of it from the in-law perspective. They are crazy. As much as Isha says it, they are all crazy.
Hi, Isha.
She's
If you're
part of it
watching-
too.
She's not listening.
When we call them
She's not
crazy, she's
listening.
part of this too.
Oh yeah, she's part of it.
I'll make her listen to it. Don't worry. I'm like, Isha,
Make
you
her
need
listen to
watch
all of them
this.
too.
Do an episode with just the cousins. Be like,
Oh my
Oh
god.
god, that's too many cousins. Half of them would stay mute in a corner.
we'll just get the talkative ones.
The
and be
talkative
like,
ones, yeah.
Oh, so
The
Isha and
older
Anisha.
ones. Not even.
We should get definitely Anisha because she is a social worker. So like,
Who needs better help when you have it in the family? That's the most brown thing to say. Like,
Oh,
we don't need
God.
therapy. We
We
have
don't
a
need
free
therapy. We
therapist
have
in
No.
our
See, and
family.
that's the worst. Like, I would never want to go to my family for anything. Therapist, medical, education, nothing. Because at the end of the day, they're going to be like, oh, no, this is how we're supposed to do it, but this is my way. It's better. Let's just do it my way.
The other thing, cut corners.
Yes, they're going to cut corners. And also, I wouldn't want to go to my family for therapy.
No.
They're the reason why I'm going to therapy.
I have to go to therapy because of my family.
I have to see a second therapist about my family therapist.
Could you imagine if Rahib goes to his cousin Anisha for therapy and it's like, okay, day 1, Anisha, you're the cause of all my problems. Now help me. Like, that would suck.
No.
She's a social worker, so she doesn't do the therapy.
Yeah, that's true.
I was like, you guys have a therapist in your family? I didn't know this.
Well, yeah, no,
We do
he's
2 social workers.
Okay,
right?
social
Yeah.
workers.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're the ones that work with like kids that have to go into foster homes or don't have terrible family situations, right? Those are social workers, correct?
There's categories of it, but yeah.
Okay. Because we have a social worker who works in our school building for students who have terrible situations.
Yeah.
So I guess you could work in a school building, you could work in an office building, you can work in certain different places, right?
Right, yeah. So
I don't know
they'll
how it
connect
works.
you with the help that you need. Kind
Yeah.
of thing.
So you see how we get off the
Yeah,
topic?
I love it.
It's
I love
fun. We talk about random things. One time we
Yeah.
went from K-pop to bidets. So that's
Totally
fun.
related topic.
Totally
very
related.
related. But we do end up somehow bringing up the word bidet in each podcast. So I
That
did
is
have to bring it
if I ever ran for president, that would be my presidential campaign. A bidet in every household.
Every house.
every no, not household.
Every toilet.
Every
public,
toilet.
Every
anywhere.
public and private toilet. It's like going to be
Needs
the
to
law.
be.
It has to have a bidet or else it's not in regulation.
Is
Zaman as a president. Huh. All right.
Oh, God.
hey, if what's his name can run, so can we. Ramaswamy.
Ramaswamy.
Oh, I thought you were going to
He's
say
a
I was like, yeah, if Trump
Republican.
can be a president.
No.
It's always the most
The brown
Indian
people
person you ever
always end
met
up
running against
being-
the Republican Party.
I've noticed that all the brown people that run for any other category in politics, it's always fucking Republican. Like, what?
It's like when brown people get older, they become more Republican.
No, because they're like, oh, yeah, the whiteys knew what they were saying in the Republican Party.
It's not that they just want. They become more.
Stupid.
What's it?
Yeah, I agree.
Self-centered,
Conservative?
I guess. Conservative. They want
Yeah.
everything. They don't want to deal with other people's
Self-centered.
problems.
Self-centered.
They're, all right, just you're suffering over there. You suffer over there.
So self-centered.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Are you trying to say that the Republican Party is self-centered, Rahib? You've heard it right here on RTZ.
As we
Or
just
R&R with
said, no
RTZ.
politics.
Well, this is different.
And that is
This
why
is
you
not
need
politics,
better
it's
health.
truth.
Because of
Say no
American
to
politics.
HelloFresh.
What do you have against HelloFresh?
Well, I just rather cook my
She's
own shit. I just rather cook my own stuff.
There's
10
been a
years from now,
crusade against
HelloFresh is
personal
going to
cooking.
sponsor a video.
Well, that's different. If they sponsor me, man, I'll eat it every day. I don't give a damn. Sponsor me.
No morals. You got keys.
Man.
We have future kids to pay for. I don't need no
Future kids to
morals.
pay for.
Huh. If Rebecca Donaldson from Full
Full
House?
House?
From Full House?
Yes.
If she can do some shady shit for her kids, we can do shady shit for our kids.
No, she
Oh
was.
Lord.
I mean, her shady shit got her to jail. We're not going to go to jail
Yeah,
for being
I'd rather
sponsored.
not go to
We're not
jail.
gonna go
I
to
would not
jail.
survive in jail.
We'll be fine.
Too pretty.
You're right. You wouldn't survive in jail. He's too soft.
Well, she also went to jail for like
A second, right?
Yeah, a second.
A second.
And then got out. So
She got a slap on the wrist and
Yes.
said, don't do it
The
again.
one SpongeBob scene where they put him in jail.
Yes.
It's like, all right, time for your hard time. All right, you're out.
That
What
was
was she jail for? I forgot.
she
She was like embezzling college funds or something.
So she like
okay.
something about college
put
money.
her daughter, like she pretended her daughter was like a rower or something, and like
Okay.
fake photoshopped pictures of her being a rower.
I thought that also she lied about like her income so she could get like more
yeah.
scholarships or some.
It was just a lot of
financial
lying about her daughters to get her into USC.
and get money
Yeah.
to get. It was a lot about it was about
Yeah.
money as well.
Yeah, I think paid off.
yeah.
admission people. Yeah, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
They say millennials are lazy. I tell you. I tell you.
That's great. I'm surprised that's not like a Netflix documentary.
I think it probably is going to. I think I
Sounds
heard
like it.
something
About her,
it.
like specifically her.
Maybe I think there's a college admission because it was a whole scandal.
Oh,
it wasn't
okay,
just
okay.
like her. It was like
Yeah.
other
She was
people
just
that
like
were
the most
doing
famous
it.
one.
Yes,
or
she was the
recognizable
most
one.
recognizable one.
Which broke
so.
my heart because I freaking loved her in Full House. Like she was
Rebecca-
great.
yeah, Aunt Becky.
Aunt
So,
Becky, yeah. What's her real name in real life? It's not Rebecca
Lori
Donaldson.
Laughlin.
There we go.
Lori Laughlin.
Laughlin. What a name.
Yes.
That
I liked
happens.
Rebecca Donaldson.
Yeah.
All right. Back
Topic.
to actual books and stuff.
What's your favorite book that you've sold so far? Like you've read it and you're like, wow, this is a really cool book
Yeah.
and I vibe with it.
Okay. So there's one. It's not South Asian, but I also saw like other like books that are like by other authors of color, right? There's one that's called "A Woman Is No Man," and it's actually the characters are actually Palestinians. It's about like a Palestinian like immigrant family in New York City, but it touches on like the topics of like generational trauma, like we were just talking about, domestic violence, and it was just like, I think it was like one of those like life-changing books that I read. Like I read it like right when I moved to DC. This was before I met Jason and everything, and it just really changed. Like I was already a feminist before that, but then I read that book, and it just. And this is why I say reading is so important, because like when you're able to like see characters either that you know in your life or even characters that you don't know about, you get this whole window into a whole world. And I read this book and it just completely changed my perspective on like self-love and like standing up for yourself as a woman, and I don't know, like just standing up against like abuse and stuff like that, which is like things that I think struggle with. I think all communities do, but I know for sure I can speak for the South Asian community. We definitely struggle with. So That's a book that I love, and I just recommend to everybody to read, especially to young girls for sure, because it just gave me this personal level of confidence that I have today. Okay. So
what was the title again?
It's called "A Woman Is No Man," and oh my Lord, I'm like forgetting. Itafrum. She's Palestinian.
Itafrum.
Yeah, okay. I'm forgetting what it's. That's her name. So that's a non-South Asian book that I recommend. But I think what I would say is, as kind of in the similar route. So what's really popular is oh my God, the author is escaping me. There's a book called Brick Lane, and it's about like the Bangladeshi community in like London that's been there for like ages, and it's actually called Brick Lane. Is it called Monica Ali, Jason? I can't remember who the author is. Brick Lane? Yeah, Monica Ali. So that's another one that I really like and is really popular. And just kind of like, I don't know, I think I just really liked stories about generational trauma because I just
that's your favorite subject or like topic?
Like my favorite subject. It's relatable. Yeah. I don't know why, especially in my 20s. I just love reading books about that because that's just something that I relate to. And also I've noticed that like people like those kind of books too, because it's just you can relate to it. It's what I think what we all go through. And like I said, that's what I love about books, is like we can all kind of find ourselves in something or learn about something.
Definitely
learning.
Yeah.
I think I've been to that part of London.
Yeah, it's like a whole it's actually Sylheti Bengalis. Like they all live in
there's
that
plenty of Sylheti Bengalis over
Is
there.
that like the Jackson Heights?
It's the Jackson Heights of London. It's the Jackson Heights of London, literally.
I love that.
You go to the Whitechapel exit or on the train, and then you come out and you like walk a few blocks, and then you see like this like entrance with like a big sign, and it's all in Bangla, and then all the streets.
Wow.
Yes.
It is a brick road, so it kind of gets its name.
Called Brick Lane.
And then all the
It's more Jackson Heights than Jackson Heights.
It's more. Apparently, it's more. Yeah.
Yeah, and everyone's speaking Bangla, but you can't understand any of it.
Sylhetis.
I had an uncle talk to me, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
Because
Sylheti
is like a totally different language.
Yeah,
it's so different.
This is funny because my brother married a Sylheti family.
Okay.
And so my other brother is like a comedian,
Yes.
and he was the MC, so he's like doing all these Sylheti
Awesome
jokes
Yeah.
about like pronunciation and accent
Yeah.
stuff, and they were like laughing and eating up. My dad's like in the corner like, stop, they're gonna be so mad, they're not gonna like us anymore. But they think we're gonna hate them or something. But they loved it. Everyone was laughing. It was great.
And that's like another thing that I really, because I think this is one thing that I've sometimes noticed, and maybe this comes up in all forms of art, but I think South Asians sometimes are painted as a monolith, like oh, Indians, Pakistanis, Bangladesh, we're all the same. But no, like, yeah, we have things in common, but we're different. Like, we have our things that make us special. I mean, just even within Bangladesh, there's like Sylhetis, there's Chittagongans, there's people from there's just different like microcultures within. So that's one thing that I also like that I'm starting to see a little bit within art in general, is you're starting to see like more of these microcultures like come out and like tell their stories, and like
especially here in America.
Exactly. I really like that. Like I see authors, when I see them, they're not just Indian. I can see Indian, Muslim, Hindu, and there's different cultures even within India.
Yeah, like there's Gujarati, there's Punjabi, there's Telugu, there's Tamil. Like there's all of these other different sects.
Yes.
Yeah.
I like that, and I'm seeing it in books. I'm definitely seeing it in movies and TV for sure.
Yeah, we're definitely getting more diversity in a lot of in the arts in general.
You know what's so interesting? In this, like the whole, like you're talking about, like each country has like their different parts. Even in America, like a Texas person would never want to be like, oh yeah, we're just like Californians.
No, not
like,
at all.
Exactly. So it's like that little pride of we are different. Like someone from Maine would never be like, oh yeah, Florida.
Yes.
Not even state from state. Like Northern Virginia is
It's
very
so
different
different
from the rest of Virginia.
Oh yeah, I would never want to be called a Southerner from Virginia. Like if someone says, "Oh, you're from
So
Virginia,"
funny.
I immediately say, "But I'm from the north.
Northern Virginia.
I'm from the north of Virginia, not the
Yeah.
south."
Not even Westchester
Yeah,
or Norfolk.
No.
It's so different.
yeah.
You mentioned both. It's like I'm from Texas, and you talk about Californians, and like they don't. I mean,
Well, I said that
don't
specifically.
like. Yeah, they don't
Yeah.
like Californians. I even have a very mixed opinion
Yes.
about Californians because they're kind of like moving in and just kind of changing a lot of things. And yeah, I have my opinions.
They're more
I have my
hippie.
opinions.
So the
Yes.
reason why I brought that up is
Yes.
because I just recently watched Young Sheldon, and
Yes.
I'm watching Big Bang, and Sheldon is from Texas,
Yes.
and so he always makes comments about like, oh, them Californians,
Ugh.
they're hippies and shit like that. So I'm like, oh, they must, like, there is like a state to state.
For sure.
Like pride. So just like in Bangladesh, India, Pakistan, there's like technically each of the areas are called states, because in India, the state of Gujarat or whatever it's called, like they're all different states. So there's that pride.
For sure, and I think it should be recognized. I don't.
Oh,
think,
yeah.
I don't know.
Fought a whole war just to be recognized.
I
honestly.
know, right?
What makes me the most mad is when people will go around and when I say I'm Bengali,
Yes.
they're like, oh, like India. And I'm like, no, I'm
No.
Bengali, like its own damn country. I did not say I'm Indian at all. But yeah.
And this actually brings up a really great point. So the reason that I named my business specifically, I think you know this story, but I named it Kahini and not Kahani. Even though Kahani might have had a more recognizable brand or whatever, I was very particular that I wanted it to be Kahini because Bangladeshis or Bengalis oftentimes don't get that representation within the broader form of South Asia. So I wanted it to be that name in
'Cause it's
particular.
Bengali.
I wanted it to be known that the owner is a Bangladeshi American, so the name should reflect my heritage. And I also did it because I'll be very honest, especially growing up in Texas Texas has Dallas has diversified a lot more now. When I was growing up, it wasn't that diverse. Where I live, I was one of the few South Asian people in my school, probably like one other person. So like because of that, I have a white name. I'm like my white pronunciation is Ryanna. I was ashamed to tell people that I was Bangladeshi. And I have so much regret about that now. I wish I could go back and never not
But
do
as a
that.
kid, you didn't know any
Yeah, I
better.
didn't know.
Yeah.
But so I think that's part of where like naming my business really came from. That is like, no, I want to be really proud of like
Of course,
the
yeah.
fact that I am like Bangladeshi. So
I
yeah, that's
love that.
something.
Aw.
Yeah, for sure. And more people go through that than you think. Like I've talked to a lot of people and they're like, yeah, I had like a white name or like a white pronunciation of
yeah.
my name and stuff like that. So
I know people will still give a very white pronunciation of their
Oh my
names.
God, yeah.
And then even then I'm like kind of like that too because I don't bother with making people say my name right.
Yeah.
Like I'm not gonna waste my energy.
Yes.
I've done that so many times. So I'll go to Starbucks. I'll say my name's Rob.
I still do it
So
too.
it's
Like, yeah,
the 3 second
I do it.
interaction. I'm not gonna go spell out my whole name. But if someone like I know who I'm gonna talk to a long time, like all right, my name's Rahib.
Yep.
It's not Rajiv. It's not Rahib.
Yep.
It's Rahib. Should spell it
Rajiv?
right. Yeah.
Rajiv.
I've heard of Rajiv so many times. That's it auto corrects to or used to.
It does, yeah. My phone still
Yeah.
does that, even though I have his name.
Yeah. But
You told me you had a similar experience growing up in
Me?
Loudoun County, right?
Yeah, I mean everywhere I went.
Yeah.
So I did not correct people for the longest time.
Yeah.
So I always went by my middle name being Tuhin.
Yeah.
And in Bangla, we don't have a hard T sound. We have
Yes.
a softer C or T. So it's like
Yeah.
oo, not a two, which you can't really get out of Americans or
Yeah.
Which is weird because Americans have a TH in the language. So tuhin it's the diaphragm, right? TH.
But I don't think how many words that we have with TH and like you like not.
Well, no, but tu is not a weird, like the TH sound is not weird. So all you have to do is put a U next to it. So even if there is no word in the American language that's THU, saying it is phonetic, right? Like if you tell people my name is THU, tu, and then hin, it's phonetically it's not that hard.
I'm trying to think. Like your tongue's at like the top of your mouth.
Well, I do get it because most Americans can't say Desi. They say Desi or Desi.
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 Don't get me started on the Muslim. Where did that come from? Muslims. Muslim is not. It's like a pretty phonetic word. It's not difficult to say.
Muslim, Islam.
Like the Quran.
Islam.
Yes,
Now you're
Quran.
pronouncing Timothy Chalamet. They can't pronounce Muslim.
Yeah.
Or charcuterie, which I still have
Charcuterie.
trouble with.
Yeah,
What is
charcuterie
that?
they can pronounce. They can
They can say
Night
Beethoven.
Shyamalan.
Everyone can say that name.
I don't know about that.
Shamalama
Shamalama Ding Dong.
That's
They said that.
But like,
Oh my god.
yeah, so like that, I never corrected people. So I got a lot of like at best Tuhin, but like at worst it's like
That's what Vicky
Tahin
says.
or
Oh no.
what else? Just like anything but TU. It's like any other vowel. TA, TI, T,
Oh,
anything
no.
else. So it's like
Vicky says, "How is Tuhin doing?" And I'm like,
no.
"Who?" My best friend from high school. They've met before, and I'm like, "Oh God." I mean, I tried to teach
the
her.
worst name pronunciation I got was Ricky. Like they just,
Oh,
the city just gave up. He was like, "Is that a?" He was looking at my spelling too. He was like, "Is that Ricky?" I'm like, "How?
sure.
How?"
Well, the worst is when you have a name that's pretty easy. Like, I'm just going to throw out an example.
Yeah.
Like, Asif is a beautifully easy name to say. But then you go around and tell everyone, hey, guys, my name is Asif. That's,
Oh wow, I've never heard that before.
yeah, we have a friend like that.
Okay.
Yeah, literally.
He
All
says
right.
Asif.
He goes around saying, my name is Asif.
That's weird.
But his name is Asif.
I guess
Asif
that-
Rocky.
Asif is
Asif
easy.
Rocky.
Asif isn't even hard. Yeah. I grew up, my name is Ariba. And
Yeah.
Ariba is a very Hispanic name. So everyone here was used to Ariba, Ariba, andale, andale.
Yeah.
So my name was, I never actually grew up with I had to change it for Starbucks or had to pronounce it differently. So in Starbucks, they just spell it wrong, like with an I instead of two E's.
My white name basically is Rihanna. So
Yeah.
I would
So
always
Rihanna,
get
yeah.
the
You're
whole-
worked out because that's
Yeah,
A famous
Rihanna's
singer,
especially
yes.
the
so-
singer. I always used to get that, like, oh,
Yep.
Rihanna, the singer.
It's not spelled like that, though.
No, it's Ryanna, and hers is Rihanna.
You have a Y? That's
Yeah.
wild.
Do you
Yeah.
not know people with Y's?
No, I didn't
It's a
expect
different-
a
She's like, oh
Y.
my
It's
god, a
different.
Y, you're
Yes.
special. You're one of the chosen ones.
Oh, it is. You barely ever. I don't see Y's
You're gonna be like
unless.
one of those parents that
Yasmin?
name their kid Caitlin.
Well,
but spell with
Yasmin's
a
a Y with the beginning, but like a Y in the middle of the name.
Ryan?
Yeah.
Ryan is a white name. I'm not
Okay.
talking about a brown
Fun
name.
fact, I think it's funny. I think some parents even have that with him because my dad, he was thinking when he named me, he was thinking, how can my daughter's name fit
Stand out.
in or fit in America, especially. Well, I don't know if we weren't in Texas at that time actually, but like, how does she fit in and
To the
how does her
Western
name
world,
fit in?
yeah.
And I think his whole thing was like, if I spell it like Ryan. But then it's like, yeah, so that's how he literally did it. So it's like we want to
love
blame
that.
That's funny.
ourselves,
That's funny.
but sometimes our parents do it too, and it's not like out of a
Yeah.
bad.
Well, our parents
It's
didn't
not
have a
only us,
choice.
There's a
It's
lot of
not out of
cultures
a
that do
bad
it too. Yeah,
place.
like
Yeah.
I have a lot of Vietnamese friends and Korean friends that their parents chose an American name along with
Yeah.
a more cultural name. One to give
Well,
to people.
that's
in America
also
and one to
normal
others.
in Korea. In Korea, they do that.
to have like two names.
Yeah, they have two names. Like
No.
they give their child a Korean name and an
No.
English name, not an
Oh yeah,
American.
for Korean American name.
No. In
they-
Korea, it's normal. They have a Korean name that's their given name, and they also have an English name. It's like it's a Western
heard
name.
that.
Legally.
Yeah. Well, yes. Yeah. Oh, not everyone does this, but yeah, a lot of people do. In
do.
Korea, a lot of K-pop stars have legal English names and legal Korean names. Like for example, from Blackpink, Rosé, she has a Korean name, but Rosé is her Western name. But
Yeah.
both are her legal names.
K-pop comes up on this podcast quite often.
Yeah.
Does.
No more K-pop. I'm tired of this. Tired of this, Grandpa.
Are you a K-pop fan?
I am. But so is he.
Yeah, but now if you
Every
mention it every
episode.
time, it's true.
Every episode.
We
Listen.
talk about, we bring it up every time.
Listen. If it
This is
comes
a
up, it comes
Bollywood
up.
dance company originally, and we keep bringing up K-pop.
I do have a Vietnamese friend with the Asian name and then
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
legal American English name as well.
Yeah. See.
Bengalis do it too. I met Bengalis with like
Yeah.
Jennifer or like something like that
I've
too.
seen it too.
Oh my God.
I thought
Yeah,
it
it's
was
just like,
Jennifer.
are they like Christian Bengalis? Like, no, I'm
Oh.
Muslim.
Lutheran
Oh.
Muslim.
Indians. Yeah.
Yeah.
We had some neighbors that had like Jennifer, and Jessica. That was
Mhm.
literally their names, and they're Indian.
Can I go back to the Y really quick? I know.
No.
Yeah.
I know a kid named Jefferson.
Jefferson.
Instead of Jefferson, it's Jefferson with a
Huh.
Y.
Or
I
like
know.
Yennefer in Witcher.
Yes, Jennifer.
Yeah, The Witcher. I think that's more of a cultural thing for like
Yeah.
based off. I think they're based off Swedish culture.
The
Maybe.
little
or
boy was
Norwegian
Hispanic.
Culture. Well,
I
that's,
still need to watch season 3.
They do it in Hispanic culture. Some Hispanic cultures
All
too.
right,
Yeah.
last question. What is the future for Kahini Books?
The future is eventually I want it to be an actual physical store.
Mhm.
And not just, and like I said, I want it to kind of be, not to make the comparison, but kind of like the South Asian version of what Politics and Prose is right now, or what Kramer Books is right now. So like have it be like almost like a community space. So like not just be a bookstore, but also have the opportunity for people to like use the space if they want it for like, I don't know, like live music, or like even like, for writer sessions, or any just sort of like, artist who wants to use that space. I want Kahini Books to also kind of function as that. And then of course like there's the the bookstore portion, which would be what I have right now, but just a lot bigger. So I want it to really be a place, because I feel like, I don't know, at least as far as I know, we don't really have something like that in this area, like a community, like maybe like aunties and uncles do, but like our generation, we don't have like that like gathering space where we can like come together, especially as like entrepreneurs or like artists. So
Yeah.
I really hope it's that. And it'll most likely be in Northern Virginia, just because that's,
Love that.
Yeah, I mean
Love it.
that's where everyone is, and then we're probably gonna live in Northern Virginia. So
Yeah.
yeah,
That sounds
yeah.
great.
You should
Yeah.
sell cha, and then you should
Yes.
also have like lo-fi Bollywood music playing in the background.
Oh,
I
It's like
have thought
very
about
like
that.
soft, like
I thought
beats
about
of
that.
Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gum or some shit in
Yes.
the background.
Beats.
Soft beats would be so
We talked
cute.
about like some kind of like food portion where it's like
Yes.
South Asian
Jalebi.
influence,
Yeah.
something like that. But yeah, I want it to be like a whole thing, and hopefully it'll happen someday. But
well,
we're
here's
chugging
hoping
along.
Here's
We're chugging
hoping.
along.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
we'll be customers.
yes,
Yeah,
for
definitely.
sure, for sure.
I bought a book from you.
You have. I
don't
know which
remember.
one it was
12
actually.
Nights or something.
Yes. It was
I haven't
that
read it
one.
yet, obviously.
He told me this a couple months ago. He's like, I haven't read it yet, Ryanna. I'm not gonna buy anything
just
from
there.
you.
Still has
Yes.
it.
it's in on my bed, like my
point-
bookshelf.
It's
The
on the
point is you bought
nightstand.
it.
It's ready. It's,
It's there.
the
The point is you
bookmarks on
bought it.
page 1. I've got past the table of contents.
Read the publishing stuff and everything, but I haven't read page 1 yet.
No, yeah, I remember this. You're like, I'm not gonna buy anything again from you until I actually finish the first one that I
No,
got.
I'll
from
buy
you.
something before then.
But
'cause,
I
like, let's be
appreciate it.
real.
I appreciate it. I appreciate you supporting. And yeah, I mean, you're kind of the question also you were asking is like, why is reading important, or why should people learn to read? I feel like the theme of this conversation has been like representation and understanding each
Yeah.
other's experience and trauma. And I just feel like reading is like, it's a very, like, I don't know, at least for me, and I don't feel the same way. I do feel represented when I see a movie or something, but when I read a book and it just like seeps into your soul and your brain, like that's just a totally different experience. Like I feel like those characters become a part of me and they influence me, and I just feel, I don't know, I feel totally different. So I think that's why it's so important. And it's not just like for kids. Like for kids, for sure, it's important
Yeah,
for their
definitely.
development. But I think even for adults, like I think it's like a really great mental health outlet. Just being able to get away from a screen for a while, for a couple of hours, is phenomenal. And yeah, being able to relate to experiences.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So yeah,
I think reading is pretty.
You make
visceral.
me want to read.
yeah,
Reading is fundamental.
It's-
as they
it's-
say.
yes,
Yeah, it's definitely a visceral experience because you are focused on what you're reading.
yes,
And
Like-
you learn big words like visceral.
yes.
Like
Vocabulary.
What did you just say?
Visceral.
Visceral. Oh, I
How
thought you
you
said
would- more
visceral.
books. Go buy some more books from her.
She's a teacher.
Enunciate. Put your lips to the mic and enunciate. I heard visceral.
Visceral.
Ah.
Anyhow,
It seems like a
what-
hearing problem. more
What
than
I'm
see-
saying is that like when you're reading, you're
Yes.
focused on reading the book, right? Because a lot of us, I think, in today's day and age, when we're
Yeah.
watching TV or watching movies, we
We're
tend to
doing
pull out
other
our
stuff.
phones or whatever it is that we're doing.
Yeah.
When you're reading, you're very focused on what you're reading. books tend to be very detailed with their, how they
Yeah.
tend to explain stuff. Yes, you get a bigger vernacular.
For sure.
And then, but there's also, I think, in a human aspect, like we like analog experiences. Like we like books.
There's a reason why books have been the biggest medium since
they've stayed in spite of everything.
Yes,
in spite
that's
of all the
true.
options that we have. The fact that people are, and actually, I read studies like during the pandemic, people started reading more because like they had time on their hands and they like people fell back in love with like reading again. So, it's here.
Yeah.
It's here to stay. And like, yeah, you're right. It's like that visceral experience and like I love that feeling of like I will just get lost in a book for like a whole day, and like sometimes he'll message me and I'm not responding because I'm like, I'm totally in this book, like nothing else matters right now.
See, that's what I
Stop
wanna
bothering
do.
me. Stop bothering me. And it's phenomenal. And also I just feel like, I don't know, when I read like a lot of these like little things that sometimes we get like really anxious about and like mad about, or like even like drama and stuff like that just seems really insignificant to me. I'm like, I just care about these characters, leave me alone. Like leave me alone. So
Yeah.
It's like its own form of therapy. I like it.
yes.
I love that.
And that's why you should look at BetterHelp.
Oh God. Wait, I do have to ask.
Yeah.
Okay. So like with all this day and age, like technology and stuff, so obviously people can now read on their phones, on Kindles, and they can even listen to books. Do you still prefer to have a book in your hand, sitting in a corner and reading?
Yes. For sure. That's my personal
Yes,
choice.
yeah.
I know everybody feels differently. And I know for some people, I'm thinking about it from a business, I know some people, especially a lot of older people do like ebooks and stuff like that because I think
More
it's
of
just
accessibility.
easy. Accessibility.
Yeah.
Like you can zoom in on the
Oh,
words. Just you have, or even just like you can carry it really easily.
That's true,
Versus like a book, it does weigh, I guess, a certain amount and whatnot. But I like feeling the pages.
Yeah.
I
it's
like-
also accomplishing.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't think
feel-
those options will ever
yes.
replace the actual physical book.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, they'll
I don't
never
know.
go
Business.
away.
Never go
Yeah.
I
away.
like to listen and look at the page at the same time.
I do audiobooks too. I
Yeah.
will actually, what I'll do is I'll have the book and I'll also get the audiobook and I'll listen to
Yeah.
it. And that creates a whole other experience
Yeah,
too.
because I like some of the like names
Yes.
I might not know how to pronounce specifically.
Yes.
Like the book that I'm reading
like
currently.
visceral.
Listen, if you learn to enunciate, use Zamans
I
and you're
think it's a
mumbling.
hearing
Listen,
issue.
the men in Zaman families will do this all the time, mumble the words together and don't know what to say.
That went to baby voice so quickly. What
Well, because I don't know how to mumble. I enunciate. I learned how to speak.
Uh-huh.
Sorry, it's not against you. It's all Zamans.
Not
but he
you,
brought
but
it
your
back
whole
up.
family.
He brought it
It's not
back
you.
up.
It's the family.
He brought it back up.
family.
It's your last name, okay?
Always comes back to the Zamans, I swear.
Well,
Oh
that's why I
my
hyphenated my
goodness.
name. I'm still half good. So will our
Half good.
children.
Wow.
That's hilarious.
But anyways, I do like to listen and understand the words and some of the names that I don't know and
I
hear it.
think especially like sometimes like the voices are really cool. Like they'll have like
Yes.
actors and actresses like
Oh,
do
yeah,
some
yeah.
audiobooks and they do really cool. Just I don't know. I think
another, like,
it adds
dimension to
character.
it.
Yes, it
Yeah.
adds character. It adds dimension. So I love audiobooks. I actually so I also sell audiobooks through. There's a whole platform called Libro FM, which basically provides audiobooks to all the like independent bookstores. So I have my stores on there as well. So I get people who
Okay.
do purchase audiobooks through there. So
Nice.
yeah,
I love that.
good.
Yeah,
Our Chachi wrote a book, like a poetry book, but it's in Bangla. So I
Yeah,
don't know.
yeah.
yeah. Like, so Dwayne tells me about this all the time, and unfortunately, it's like not my demographic. Like my
Yeah.
demographic tends to be more like I don't know, like I guess the
Younger.
diaspora and in English and kind of a more younger audience. But yeah, you have
Yeah,
a
I don't think
couple
our
offers.
Chachi's book's gonna work for you.
No, I don't think so. I think like there's a boy Mela apparently that happens.
Yeah,
so
they-
that,
he
that
was
he might
there.
be good for that.
That happened recently. Wasn't
Yeah, like recently, like
it?
last
Yeah,
week or something.
I think he was there.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That's
Cool.
All right. So as we wrap up, where can people find Kahini Books? Online or physically or wherever?
Yeah, online is like the most permanent place. So I would say for social media, Instagram is your best bet, but we're on everything. I think we're on Facebook, we're on Twitter. We have a TikTok, but we haven't really gotten into book talk yet, which is a whole thing. But
Yeah.
we're trying to get on that. It's a lot of work. So, and then my website is www.kahinibooks.online. So, and then just social media, it'll tell you wherever I'm gonna be basically in person. So
Okay. What's your next upcoming event?
That is a good question. So taking a break up until
Getting married.
Yes,
That is the best
wedding.
Oh, yes, when's
Next
your wedding?
month. So the wedding is next month
Oh,
in
wow, okay.
October. So I think I don't have anything until after that. So I think the first one is October 21st at Jaw Street Food at in Tyson's.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So we're doing like a small one there. And then after that, I think it's in November and December. I'm doing, so I have that's another thing. I partner with like some like theaters because the theater audience and the book audience tends to be kind of similar.
Oh.
So there's a theater in DC called Woolly Mammoth Theater, and they're doing like a South Asian play basically. I can't remember what it's about, but they offered me a chance to pop up there. So
That's cool.
yeah, so that's in November and December. I can't remember the dates right now, but it'll be on my social media. So
Okay.
Awesome. Great. Well, it was great having you here. Thank you for
Yes.
coming
Yes,
on.
thank you so much.
Now I have inspiration to read again. So
Yes.
that's good.
After you learn how to read.
That's up to you.
I'm glad.
Yeah. All right. Thank you guys for listening and watching, and we'll catch you guys next time.
Bye.
Hey guys, Rahib here. Thanks for watching this video. Please subscribe to the channel, hit that bell button to get a notification whenever there's a new video. If you want to support the channel, check out the merch shop, as well as the Buy Me a Coffee page and the Patreon page to get monthly benefits such as exclusive BTS content, unedited podcasts, and early access to all the videos. All the funds help grow the channel and keep it afloat, so any and all help is appreciated. All the links are in the description, and I'll see you guys next time.